Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1 and the Belgian Grand Preview video. Here we are for another week of F1, and this week I shall be here all weekend to cover everything, and there is a lot to cover, as this weekend not only do we have the F2, not only do we have the F3, but we have an F1 sprint race weekend. They're back, baby, and they're bigger than ever. Quite literally, the biggest track ever to hold a sprint race. I don't understand why they've come here for a sprint race, but they have. Let's see how it goes. It's going to be an interesting one. So in this video, what we're going to do, we're going to have a look at Upgrade Corner. It's just going to be purely rumour and speculation this week for Upgrade Corner for who's bringing what. Special Helmet Street is back because we have one this week. We'll have a look at the Driver Runway show. That's back. Then we've got all the biggest news from the week gone by. Then we'll finish off with some predictions for the weekend. So here we go. I hope you're ready. This morning I spent my morning watching Oppenheimer, then watching the Barbie movie. So I'm more ready than ever for a Grand Prix weekend. Let's start with Upgrade Corner. As I said, this is speculation. Normally, we would do the preview video on the Friday, and then the upgrade sheets have come out. We know what everyone's brought, but we have to do it on the Thursday now because on Friday we have qualifying. So here's some speculation. Mercedes have basically confirmed that they're bringing some upgrades, not stated what they are, but saying that they have brought some upgrades, and the Mercedes fans seem very excited about this. I've seen some people on Twitter going, "Oh, these Mercedes upgrades are going to give us half a second." We'll wait and see. It seems like the Mercedes fans have been waiting for half a second since like the start of last year, and every upgrade is going to bring them half a second, but we shall see. Hopefully it does for the Mercedes fans. But, I don't think the Mercedes car is that bad anyway. It's definitely the third fastest car at the minute. Definitely better on the softer tyres than the harder tyres. But, yeah, it's all right. Just trying to beat McLaren. Aston Martin as well are another team that are speculated to be bringing something. And if they don't bring something here, they'll be bringing it in Zandvoort. So after the summer break. Those two are the only real two big teams with anything massively rumour-wise about them. Normally we would know a few others by now, but no, we haven't heard anything else. So it doesn't look like any of the other big teams are bringing anything huge for this weekend, which honestly isn't a massive surprise, because you'd think if you had a big upgrade, you might leave it until after the summer break now because you'll work on it a little bit longer. But yeah, Mercedes and Aston, the ones to watch in terms of upgrades. As we go to Special Helmet Street, just the one confirmed so far, and I've lost my image of it. Here it is. Let me show it on screen for you now. It is from lovely Esty Bestie Ocon, who's got this special helmet in tribute to some people who make watches. So if you like watches, you like Esteban Ocon, this one's the one for you. There you go. That's the end of Special Helmet Street. Fantastic stuff. We'll move on to now the DRS, which we call the Driver Runway Show. Now, this is where we have a look at the drivers turning onto the track, and I critique their outfits as I can, as I am a fashionista. Look at my outfit. It's called Barbieheimer. I was wearing pink, but also like a black jacket as well. Oh, it works. It works. Anyway, here's Carlos Sainz. He's wearing a lovely Ferrari jumper thing. Main thing you'll notice throughout all these photos is it looks like it's really, really wet out there. And apparently it's going to stay really, really wet all weekend. It's predicted at the minute that no sessions will be dry. So we could be in for quite a lot of drama this weekend. Even better, I guess, the fact that they only have one practice session to get a setup right. So yeah, could be chaos this weekend. Moving on next, though, we have Daniel Ricciardo, who's also wearing a lovely, a blue jumper thing. But look at this lovely Red Bull beanie hat. I'm sure it's available in some kind of shop. Here is Alonso, but it's kind of undercover Alonso. At first, I didn't even realise it was Alonso, but he's wearing a Hugo Boss jumper, and it's got some brown, white, and black lines on it. Very nice. Here's George Russell. He doesn't mind getting a bit wet, and he's dressed like a farmer's son. Here's Lance Stroll, looking miserable in the wet, black jumper, black jeans. these two turned up together. Now, we've got an ongoing joke at the minute with Piastri whenever he appears in the Drive a Runway show, that he looks like he's just been dropped off by his mum for non-school uniform day. And he's continued into here, but he's got the word dubber here. Dubber, that's great. Is this his own merch? Looks like it. Oscar Piastri. Dubber. That's what I say. Also, this is Lando's best look ever, in my humble opinion. I like it. He's got the kind of Under Armour thing going on with the Nike, nice jacket on top, and the white hat. I think he looks very good here. Great job, Mr. Lando Norris. But Yuki Tsunoda's coat is what's winning it for me here. This is a wonderful coat. Well done, Yuki Tsunoda. Now it's time for the news, everyone. And the first news is that this weekend, when you're watching the race, you may think to yourself, where's Alfa Romeo? And I think that's myself any week anyway, because they normally don't get very much screen time. But you'll be thinking it extra this week because they have a special livery. So even if you saw the Alfa Romeo, you wouldn't know it was the Alfa Romeo. Are you ready for this? This is what the Alfa Romeo looks like this weekend. I know, unrecognisable. But if you look very close, you can see that there's still a lot of the same Alfa Romeo stuff. It's just random bits are a luminous green to celebrate Kick, one of their big sponsors. They're celebrating them this weekend for some reason. How good will this look in the rain? Will it stand out? We'll wait and see. That's what I'll say about that. Now, looking forward towards the end of the year and the Las Vegas Grand Prix, it's being hyped up an awful lot at the minute, but there could be a bit of trouble as well, because F1 is threatening to block venues with a view to the Las Vegas Grand Prix if they do not pay a certain amount. Liberty Media has sent out letters to restaurants, bars and clubs charging them a $1,500 per head licensing fee, or they will be using barricades and blinding lights to block the customers taking a peek at the race. One hacked-off casino owner claimed it seems insane they're asking money for a public event that's taking place in the streets. Well, you see, this is a very interesting one here, because I think using blinding lights is a bit off, but, it's a difficult one. I don't know how they handle it in other cities. I've never really heard of this happening before. What do they do in Monaco or, say, Baku or something like that? If you have a building that overlooks the race, what happens there? I mean, in Imola, that's a racetrack, but there's a house there that you can see the racetrack from. Do they get charged extra? Otherwise, they can't go on their balcony because someone will blind their eyes. It's a really weird one. But also, at the exact same time, if you have a restaurant in Las Vegas, you can probably afford to pay. And then, put an event on. You're probably already putting an event on to make a bit of money that weekend. I'm sure it'll be fine. And I'm sure this will work out with no problem whatsoever. Nick de Vries news here. It's been a week since we've spoken about Nick de Vries. So Toto Wolff has said some stuff about Nick de Vries after AlphaTauri's decision to drop him last weekend for Daniel Ricciardo. Wolff said, "I'm a fan of Nick because he's enormously intelligent and has always contributed a lot to the development of our car. I do feel sorry for him. He called me Monday morning asking if I had time for coffee. I did. On our team, all positions have been filled at the minute, but we will continue to support him wherever we can." Of course, he's making reference there to Nick's old role of standing next to Toto Wolff. That has now been filled by Mick Schumacher, so we can't have that role back, unfortunately. But, it's good that Toto and Nick are still close. It's always, I find it quite a weird one. I saw when this news came out, a lot of people were like, oh yeah, Toto Wolff, he never did Nick wrong, not like that Christian Horner. It's Christian Horner actually gave him an F1 drive, even if it was just for 10 races. Toto Wolff has given him an F1 drive for nothing, no races, ever. So, it's a balance of the two things. And looking at this at the minute, it's he's still not giving him anything. I imagine Nick will be back in Formula E for next season. Will that be with the Mercedes team? Will he go elsewhere? We'll have to keep an eye on that one as it develops. And finally, the big breaking news. I think this came out yesterday. surrounding F1 Academy in 2024, which is something I'm very much looking forward to for next season. And they were excited to announce that all 10 Formula 1 teams will have drivers and liveries in F1 Academy for 2024. So if you're not familiar with some of the feeder series such as F2 and F3, what happens in there, for example, if a Red Bull young driver has a car in F2 or F3, their car has the Red Bull livery on it, not the livery of the team they actually drive for. And that goes for like the likes of Alpine as well, like Théo Pourchaire. He is on the Alfa Romeo young driver program, so his car looks like an Alfa Romeo. Ferrari you have to put their badge on the side. I think Mercedes do the same as well. That will happen now as well for F1 Academy, but not just for the teams of Red Bull, Alpine, Mercedes, etc., but for all 10 Formula 1 teams, which adds extra interest, really, because you have teams like Haas and you have teams like McLaren who have no young drivers in F2 or F3, but will have drivers in F1 Academy, which will be a brand new thing there for them. Also, it means that these guys are actually more likely now to make that progression up through F3 into F2. Say, for example, if a Red Bull, for example, were to have a driver in F1 Academy and they do quite well, they're more likely now to get into F2 or F3 with that Red Bull backing than they would have been without it. So this is great news for F1 Academy, great news for everyone involved. It'll be interesting to see how everyone gets picked. Is there going to be like a whole process with it, or is it just going to be teams bidding on whoever wins it this year? Because believe it or not, it is going on this year. It'll be an interesting one, but yeah. F1 Academy in 2023 I have very little interest in, but F1 Academy in 2024 I have an awful lot of interest in, so we'll see how that one plays out. And finally we go on to our predictions for the sprint race weekend this weekend in Belgium, a very, very wet one. So my first prediction, I'm going out there, Oscar Piastri podium, because it should have happened the last two races. I don't actually feel like it's going to happen this weekend, but I'm putting the energy into the world here for an Oscar Piastri podium. That should be great, I think. But if it is wet, Max does well in the wet, Hamilton does well in the wet, Norris does well in the wet, so that'll be your podium. But, Oscar Piastri could do it as well. And my second one, which might be even more unlikely, because we have two qualifyings this weekend. We have the sprint shootout and we just have our traditional qualifying. I've gone that in one of those, Perez will be in the top three. So there's two quite unlikely predictions here for the Belgian Grand Prix. Let's see if any of them come true. I doubt they will. As I said, though, we'll be here for all the good stuff this weekend. So tomorrow we'll be up here for the F1 qualifying reaction. We'll have the sprint shootout and the sprint race reaction on Saturday. Then we'll have F3, F2 and F1 reactions on Sunday. Then on Monday we have the F1 driver reactions for the driver ratings, for the Belgian Grand Prix. Then on Tuesday, oh my god, a Tuesday video. On Tuesday, we will have a video on this channel of a travel vlog that I did whilst I was at Hungary. I bet you're all desperate to see something like that. So that'll be out on Tuesday. So videos on this channel every day from now till Tuesday. Beautiful stuff. Make sure you subscribe to see all that. I'll see you around. Have a great weekend. Goodbye.